All right. You ready, Glasses?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for coming back on the platform. I know we had you a couple years ago when we were just straight audio, so
Hmm.
I appreciate you taking the time out to come back on Bomb First.
Oh, thank you for having me once again, man. Giving me an opportunity to speak on my creativity when people thought I was losing my mind.
For sure. So the first question I have, I kind of want to go back. So when you originally signed with Sony, before signing with them, from what I always heard is there were a lot of people that had interest in you and were really trying to get you to come and sign with them. Can you speak on maybe who some of those people were and what kind of led to your decision to go ahead and go with Sony?
Um, so Jay Z, right? Jay Z was trying to sign me at the time. G and Hip Hop had just started at Atlantic, Capital. Pete Farmer was one of the first people interested. He was at Virgin. He did a deal on Gorilla Black. Um, it was about 10 different people. What's crazy is I was actually gonna do a deal with Freeway Rick and a guy I grew up under named Monty. We was gonna do a deal almost like kind of like a death row deal where, you know, where like it was some investors behind us and shit like that. But it just didn't happen that way. And Sony was just the money, somebody offering you opportunities at millions of dollars. My points was crazy. Like it was like 20% right up front. And the more I know about the business now, they was only offering that to people who produce records. So to have that opportunity, Mike Lynn pretty much put together a really you know hard to refuse package for a deal.
Gotcha. Okay. And you were saying how Jay Z showed interest in signing you. How did that go about, and how was the communication as far as him reach? I don't know if he reached out or how did that really go as far as him being interested in trying to get you.
So Lupe Fiasco gave Jay Z my first tape, White Lightning. Lupe Fiasco is a friend, Chili, one of his business partners, locked up right now, free Chili from Chicago. They were like some of my earliest supporters to me from out of town people. And they got my CD from me and some other people. And they just was vibing with it. And at this time, Lupe already had his deal with Atlantic and they had a label deal, First and 15th. And I guess they was talking to him about new artists. And Lupe gave him the CD, like you heard of Glasses Malone from Watts. He from LA. And he gave Jay-Z the CD and he was like, yo, link me with him. And he gave me my number and his people reached out to me and he just flew me to New York. And it was me and my boy D, my best friend, as a child. And I remember just being in his office at Def Jam and him complimenting me, telling me like I was just super, like he was like, man, you like one of the best rappers I ever heard from the West Coast. And I only heard one CD. And I remember, cause like I'm a huge fan of Jay-Z. Like I'm a huge fan of Jay-Z. My top five is like Snoop, Jay-Z, Rick Ross, Kanye at this point, and Scarface. So to have somebody that you listen to, and again, it's to have somebody that you sell drugs to, listen to, you feel like they're explaining your life, just give you compliments and trying to offer you a record deal. It was like out of this world. I remember he wanted me to freestyle. He wanted me to rap. And I was so like messed up, like Jay-Z is complimenting me, trying to sign me to a record deal. I couldn't even remember, like it wouldn't come out. It was weird. And he just kind of smiled. He knew I was fresh off the streets and how much that meant to me. So like that was like a really grateful moment. That was like one of those three moments in hip hop that really stand out for me.
Gotcha.
It's about three serious moments, but that's one of them for sure.
Okay. If you could go back now, would you have changed anything? Would you have signed with him over Sony, or would you have stuck to your guns and stayed with Sony?
Um, no, I definitely would have stayed with Sony. Um, but I would have did something completely different. Now that I know more about the business, I could have made it work with Sony. I just would have had to kidnap Battle Cat or Warren G, somebody who makes records that know about making records. At that time, I knew Dre, but Dre kind of was wrapped up in doing the stuff for Game, and like, but I would have probably like I met Quick. I would have got a lot more chummy with those guys. I would have kind of forced my will into them. I mean, I had $800,000, $900,000 to work with, so I could have made it work, but I just didn't know that hip hop was such a producer's game. I didn't know that. I didn't grow up like wanting to be in the business that's hip hop.
Gotcha. Okay. You wound up eventually on Cash Money, which was basically through Mac 10's Who Banging Records. What was that experience like in getting on, going from Sony and then being on Cash Money?
Well, Mac 10 was the most important part of brokering me leaving Sony going to Cash Money. Um, it was dope. Like being with Mac 10 was everything I thought it would be. Somebody that helped me understand more of the business, visually what it takes to what people want to see from West Coast artists. It was a lot of times I should have listened to them a lot more than I did, and there was times I should have just did what I was gonna do anyway. So I guess that's part of the experience of coming up in the business. But Mac is like a really smart business person, outside of being a street guy and understanding how to survive, but he's a really smart and strategic business person. So going to Cash Money was great. It was like one of the greatest experiences of my life. Like Birdman did right by me. They tried their best. I just didn't know enough about hip hop or records. You know what I mean? Honestly, I didn't deserve a record deal at that point. Like I've said this before, but I didn't deserve a record deal. I was just this authentic Sherm Dylan Crip guy from Watts, you know what I mean? Who just was articulate enough to put together raps. I didn't really have a true, understanding for hip hop. And I don't think they even knew how to taught that. I don't think Bird or Mac even knew how to like teaching that low. It's like somebody that teaches college students, you know what I'm saying? And you asking them to teach an elementary student now. Like it seemed like it would transition over, but in hip hop, I was like in elementary and these guys were like college level. This is Birdman who he didn't raised artists in the business already. He raised Juvenile in the business, BG, Turk, Lil Wayne, like legends, the greatest, some the greatest in they respective fields. So I don't think they were ready to, I don't think they realized how ignorant I was at hip hop. That's so.
Okay. A few years ago, you came out with a record that pissed a lot of people off. It was the Tupac Must Die. Can you tell me a little bit about that and what was your motivation for making that record?
So what's crazy to me, right, is when I first got in this business, I was just a PCP dealer and a gangbanger, right? Again, I was articulate enough. I never drank, I never smoked weed, so I kept all my wits. And like I was able to ask questions to certain homies to learn about them. And then participating helped me get a very clear understanding of what was happening in the streets. A lot different than pretty much every artist that's ever was in hip hop. You know what I mean? I don't think none of them are as in tune with what's going on the streets from this perspective as I am. And around 2012, I started to go down this rabbit hole of just learning about hip hop. My DJ Head, pushed me down this rabbit hole, and I started learning about, tempos and tempos of beats. I didn't know the difference with BPM. I couldn't tell you the difference between a Scarface song and a Snoop Dogg song when it came to rhythm at all. I couldn't hear it. It was just good music. It's good music. And I fell down this rabbit hole and I was starting to learn so much. And I started off just learning about BPMs, and then it started being about sampling and how the genres mattered, how we focused on funk, how the South kind of had this blues, how the Midwest had R&B, how the how the East really embodied jazz, a lot of the hip hop. And, it wasn't perfect, but it was close. And I started learning about what's a record and separating the difference of what's a record and a song. How do you make it, this kind of this own world and this really simple thing that has layers, so it's brilliant. And marketing, was one of the last things. But learning about hip hop was really different. A lot of people don't trip off hip hop. Hip hop is very much street urban culture. It's there's a big argument within the culture that hip hop is black, and it's not. Black people are the face of hip hop, but it's not just black. Like street urban culture, punk rock is street urban culture. You know, punk rock is how you get Eminem as a rapper. You know what I mean? That same street urban culture. There's places that are, you know, densely populated, you know, crime ridden, where sometimes white people live. In New York, white people live in the same densely populated poor places that everybody else do, just like the Bay, just not in LA or in other places. So as I start learning about hip hop and expressing that street urban culture that's Los Angeles, I realized what my job was as a hip hop artist, as a contributor. And I realized it was giving the street urban perspective of mainstream events. You know, it's like, we don't say what's up. You know, I mean, we don't say hi, we say what's up. You know, we don't say, hey, friend, we say what's up, cuz. You know, that's language. You know, we don't wear suits and stuff. You know, we wear Pendletons and Dickies, you know, fashion. And as I start understanding it was culture, breaking down the aspects of culture, morality came into play. So I was just thinking, what's the most mainstream thing that involved a gang member? What would be something that the whole world would know about, that I can express it through the mind of a gang member, that I can give you cultural revelations of a gang member's mind state? Like, this is how much thought cuz went into this shit. It wasn't like some nigga or this, that, and the third. It was really deep. The whole thought process came to that. And it became two things. Either I was going to rap about how the 92 riots started, right? And how the A-Trays, you know, all of those guys got, you know, got on Reginald Denny based off of their trauma and how they was feeling in the world. Or it was explaining Orlando Anderson's position, right? In theoretical, this murder of this high profile, super, you know, important person to the culture that is hip hop, you know, Tupac Shakur. And as I started writing, this idea came out better. I could explain Baby Lane's positioning way different than anybody else's. You know what I mean? I know what that's like to get jumped. I know the pressures and the jokes we make about each other when it's somebody that we feel is outside of the lifestyle when it happens. You know what I'm saying? So it became the only thing I could do at that time. You know what I'm saying? To really like have a brick in hip hop. It was that serious. It was that much thought. Like, that's why it sounds the way it sounds.
Okay. And the video that you did, it got a ton of views on YouTube. A lot of people, you know, discussed it, talked about it. Did you get any backlash just due to how detailed the video was? Because I know there's always been debate as to, you know, if Trey got his chain taken or not, and how the whole fight at the Lakewood Mall went down. And I know in the video, you know, you told it a certain way that, you know, some people said maybe didn't happen or did happen. But with the video specifically, did you get a lot of backlash from people?
Yeah. Not so much for the actual like facts of the video, but just literally the galls to shoot the video. So I've heard both. I've heard the chain got took and the chain didn't get took. But to me, I believe obviously the chain didn't get took, right? But does the story really make sense at that point? You know, then like if I don't express it like to where like I actually put it in a much more understanding, like an understandable way for the average person. Because if the chain doesn't, you know, the fight wasn't over the chain. Like in real time, they all know that the fight wasn't over the chain. The fight is just, all of us went to Lakewood Mall to squabble. That's just what we did. That was, we go to shop and you'll see somebody there and it's this kind of silly pride you have in the city. You know what I mean? Poor people carry their pride high. So the one thing you want to be is the most dominant motherfucker in the room. So every gang on the east side would go to the Lakewood Mall. We would go to the movies and get in fights with whoever was there, not on purpose, but to establish dominance of presence. So the fight wasn't over the chain in the first place, nor was it somebody got jumped. It was like a few people versus more people. You know what I'm saying? So to simplify the story to the average consumer so they can consume it, you make it about that. But again, it was never about the chain in the first place. And everybody involved would tell you that. It wasn't about the chain. It wasn't like he saw cousin was like, oh, I want to fight you and get his chain. Like, that's just a horrible, fucked up thing. That's not true. They fought because this is what motherfuckers do at the Lakewood Mall. It's what we do. We clash. So I think I made it digestible to where people can actually understand and have some kind of like, oh, I can see how that happened. Outside of that, if it's based off the story that I believe that the chain didn't get took, why the fuck would he have a reason to fight him at the Lakewood Mall? I mean, why would they have a reason to fight him at the casino? Like, how do you tell that story and then put Pac in a place to where you can understand him, you know, standing up for one of his homeboys? Outside of that, it looked like he just would have butted in some shit that just don't make sense. The Death Row chain gave it context, you know, it gave it depth, it gave it layers, it gave you more reasons to feel connected to, you know, the situation. But without it, it becomes like you just in the middle of some gang shit. And that's not kind of what my job was to portray in his situation. It was to portray Tupac as somebody that was very much involved with the culture, but more down for his friends and more down for the record label that pretty much rescued him to some degree, you know what I mean, from prison. I thought I did a great job of it, but, you know, obviously it's a bunch of new Tupac, you know, they not fanatic. It's like how motherfuckers feel about Jesus. Jesus died, man. You feel me? Motherfuckers love him. But they didn't love him enough to when he was hanging on the cross for 7 days to go risk their life to take him down. And that's how I feel about Tupac, where when I was growing up, we really was Tupac fans. He was a great influence, great artist, everything. But motherfuckers didn't show Pac this much love. I remember having All Eyes on Me and girls at my high school talking about like, oh, he's a rapist. Oh, you listen to that rapist? Like that, if you was keeping up with the story, that's definitely not how it happened, but that's what I'm saying. But then he dies and everybody is just over the top. Oh, yeah, Tupac this, tattoos. Like, y'all bitch ass niggas love dead black men. They hated Muhammad Ali alive. They hated Tupac alive. They hated Jesus Christ alive. They just hate motherfuckers when they alive. But then when they die, you know what I mean? Like, look at Floyd. Floyd Mayweather get the same hate. Let that motherfucker die tragically. Man, motherfuckers gonna be getting TB, tattoos, and all kind of shit, man. So I think I told the story in a way that people can digest it and understand Tupac's position. But yeah, it was different things. I heard from Trey, he felt some kind of way about it. But my thing was like, nigga, y'all not cussing out the niggas that made the movie. Y'all not cussing out the niggas that made these dumbass corny TV shows. You gonna cuss out the one nigga that you know for sure is just like you from this shit? Feel me? That shit crazy to me. How you talking? Why you calling me? You ain't called none of these other niggas who done made all these TV shows and all this cornball shit they make, but I'm really telling it how we live. So I expected it. It's all love, though. Okay. It's all love. I felt how I felt about it, but again, like once I talked to him, you know, it was an understanding to some degree.
Okay. Did the Outlaws reach out about anything? Did they have anything to say about it?
So the Outlaws is multiple facets. You know what I'm saying? It's, in theory, we would like to think of it as one group, right? But it's a bunch of grown-ass, you know, honorable men who have different perspectives. So I think Edie understood what I was trying to do. I don't think it's about him validate what I'm trying to do. I think he understood what I was trying to do and my position and being from where I was from. I never talked to Muta about it, but I'm sure we'll somehow eventually chop it up about it. What's the other brother from the IE? The bald head, maybe? Noble.
Yeah.
He said some fucked up shit. He said something to me that I didn't like, but again, like I say, if that was my homeboy, I wouldn't even react emotionally. I would have got clarity. I wouldn't even act emotionally or said something. For sure, the type of nigga I am, he could have just reached out and said, hey, G, what's up? Like, he know the type of nigga I am. He could check my pedigree. He know what's up with me, even if he didn't know me. And we have met. Storm, she had a fit. Feel me? She was online, just rah-rah and all of that. But, you know, that's how that shit go. You know what I'm saying? It's like Dre talk shit, Dr. Dre. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers was talking shit. But I always stood on the fact that I didn't mean no disrespect. It wasn't disrespect. I don't give a fuck what none of them said. I never disrespected Tupac a day in my life. Like, I'm a real Tupac fan. I grew up listening to Tupac music. I respected what he was on. But I don't give a fuck who it is, man. If it's a lesson to be learned from any story, it's our responsibility to tell the future the next story. Feel me? That shit might have stopped somebody from joining the gang. So, I really never sat down. I wanted to sit down with them and kind of get their take on it, but it just ain't happened.
Okay. Going back to the Lakewood Mall thing, did you back in the time? Did you hear about the bounty that supposedly like Puffy had on those death row chains?
Hell
Do you think
no.
No?
Man, that shit bullshit. I love to say for the story, make the story much more compelling. But trust me, if it was some bounties on chains and Crips knew, niggas would have been knowing because they would have shared the information to everybody. It's the Southside for sure wouldn't have been the only ones that knew. They would have told some other niggas, hey man, there's some money on these. Like when money is on chains, when shit is happening, everybody know. It ain't just one or two niggas that know, you know what I mean? Everybody know. So if it was bounty on death row chains, that shit would have flew around the city. You know how many niggas would have been rampant on them niggas for them chains? Man, niggas would have been, what kind of bounty? 40, 50,000, $10 in 96? Yeah, niggas would have been, feel me, going crazy. They've been trying to do everything to try to get one of them chains. So I didn't hear about it, but you know, again, I think it makes the story sound better. I don't believe it. Because I for sure, we close enough to where we would have heard. But again, you know, that don't make it right. That don't make me right. But yeah, I never heard nothing about it. How much was the money?
I think it was like 7,500 or 10,000.
Yeah, niggas would have, in 90, 7,500, that's an Impala. That's a 64 Impala. Niggas finna go crazy. Boy, them niggas been fighting everywhere they went. 7,500 in 1996, man, that's the cleanest Regal on the streets. 17-inch Dayton's, Kenwood, and all that. Man, niggas been going crazy. 7,500? Shit, you can put 7,500 on a nigga chain right now, John. I can get you anybody chain in the city. Whoever you think chain you want, nigga. 7,500? Yeah, I got they chain. 7,500? Yeah, it's more than 3 chains? Man, Death Row, they might have had 20, 30, 40 chains circulate. Man, they'd have been trying to get Daz and Corrupt. Niggas from 60 would have been trying to get Corrupt. Corrupt, give me your chain, man. We go play it off. Daz, give me the niggas from 20s and then say, Daz, give me your chain. We gotta play this off. What? 7,500 in 1996? Yeah, that's the Grand National. Yeah, nah, I can't believe it. I don't believe it.
Okay.
What Red say? Do Reg believe the bounty was real?
He does, yes.
Red's full of shit. Red's no goddamn well if it was 7,500 on anything in Los Angeles, it'd have been 1,000 attempts. You had to document them attempts. 7,500, John, in Compton and Watts in Los Angeles in 96? Nigga, you could have, that's a down payment on the house in Watts, 20%. I ain't lying, dog. That's some shit. 7,500, who chain you want right now? Who chain you want? I finna send my little niggas on them today.
And just to be clear, in 96, you were how old? Like,
16.
were you in high school?
16, yep.
16, okay. All right.
But I would have heard that. At 16, for sure, me and all my little pack would have been on that for 16. Fuck that. We'd have been trying to. Ooh, 7,500. That's, boy, we'd have had Regals and Cutlasses around. All of us would have had a Regal and Cutlass. 7,500 Cutlass was about $1,000, a clean Cutlass. The Cutlass right now, that's about 7,000. And 96 Cutlass, that Cutlass was $1,000. Oh yeah, we'd have all had Cutlasses at that point for 7,500.
Yeah. Okay. Did you ever talk to any of Tupac's family members after the video? Did anybody reach out to you, say anything?
Yeah, I talked to Billy. I think it's his cousin. It was a great conversation. He just wanted to make sure it didn't come from a malice place. Mo Preem is a homie, and I never talked to him, but from one of my partners, he felt some kind of way. But Mo Preem could have, if Mo Preem really wanted to talk to me, Mo Preem got my number. But yeah, I talked to that person and somebody else. But nah, not a ton of people.
Okay. If you could go back, would you record it again, knowing all the the problems that it's not problems, but the drama that it stirred up?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had to make it. I had to make it. You know what? I make gangster rap. You know what I'm saying? And most people. I had a conversation with Mob James about it, and that was an interesting conversation too. Shout out to James, but he was saying it was just the title. He's like, man, it's really the title that fuck niggas up. And I was thinking to myself, like, I didn't think the title was that bad because, like, I really was thinking, like, Romeo Must Die or John Tucker Must Die. I wasn't thinking, like, literally, like, because that's not how we talk. We don't say, oh, that nigga must die. We be like, I'm going to kill that nigga. So I didn't think of it from, like, to be regurgitated, like, to be digested by niggas to think, like, literally, I'm thinking of a film. Like, I just made this dope film. Feel me? I'm going to present it to everybody. So I was thinking Romeo Must Die, John Tucker Must Die. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't change nothing. I would have made the song faster. I think the song is too slow. I would have made it closer to Murder Was the Case, the speed of that song. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think a lot of the problems too, and Reggie mentioned this as well, that it's not so much a problem. It's just the fact that for years everybody's heard the story from Tupac's point of view. They've never heard it from Orlando's point of view, or quote unquote from the Crip side of that whole situation. So I think, with you telling it almost like a movie, that just people weren't, they never took the time to look at it through the lens of the other side, through Orlando or through, the South side of everything that went down.
And you know what's funny? I remember Reg was telling me that. He was like, yeah, you telling the Crip side. I'm like, Reg, this is the blood side of the story. This is the street side of the story. See, there's a mainstream, hip-hop is, imagine if all of hip-hop just assimilated to the mainstream perception of life, right? Where it's like, life is good. The police are the heroes. The police get your cat out the tree. They save lives. Imagine, then how do you get NWA? How do you find out what's going on with, you know what I mean? The riots. Rest in peace, the brother that got beat down that was driving a Hyundai. I'm getting older, cuz. Oh my God. Can we all get along? Y'all know what I'm talking about. That started the whole riots. He got beat by the police, speeding in a Hyundai.
Oh, Rodney King?
Rodney King. People didn't really vibe with NWA Fuck the Police. They, in real time, it was frowned upon by all communities. Black community, every community. The black churches was, shunning them, everybody, right? That song didn't start to make sense until people saw Rodney King get his ass whipped on tape. But imagine if they said, you know what, well, we're not going to talk about the police, minus our understanding of their existence. We're just going to simulate with the mainstream thought. To me, that's what I felt people wanted me to do. Like, well, Tupac is a hero. He's the, this, that, and the third. So he couldn't possibly, there could not be another side, right, that you can explain about the life. And it's like, that's not true. Like, Tupac is a mainstream, successful, especially at this time. Tupac is, you know what I mean? Like, revered like Jesus to people to some degree. You know what I mean? Like, so his following is mainstream. It's just apple pie. It's a bunch of people who just become fan of a dead black man that they feel like they can study. Versus my experience growing up with him, he was somebody, like I was telling, the homie here now, I was explaining to him, I'm like, Tupac almost kind of was like the victim in real time. Like, he was the person you rooted for. He was the underdog. I don't think they see Tupac as the underdog. I think Tupac to them was the hero from the first day, and he was always the guy. To us, he was the guy that came out that was positive, that your mother would buy you his music and be like, yo, listen to him. Like, this dude really respect women, blah, blah. He's about black empowerment. That's how his CD was presented. In every story, even when the shooting happened in Atlanta with the police, you heard he was being framed for somebody else around him did. It wasn't never a thought in real time that he did it. So it was always the system was fucking with Tupac. Different politicians, you know what I'm saying? people framing him for stuff, framed for rape. He was like the underdog. Today, like, nigga, he was Thanos the whole time. He was like this nigga that was just like the nigga, and everybody was scared of him, and he walked in the room and niggas jumped on chairs, and it's like, that's not Cuz's experience when I was growing up. But the point of me telling the story, like, I didn't tell a Crip side of the side. I told the streets, the street urban side of the story, how we see morality, how pride is so important and delicate to us that we can't accept you fucking us up because I'm going to make a joke about you. Like, you know how many jokes that nigga would have had, feel me? How many problems that would have caused in his life if he lets that ride? Like, if a nigga owe him for some work, you know, a nigga owe him for a half ounce or an ounce, feel me? Nigga like, nah, I ain't get, you know, fuck that nigga. A nigga like, oh, I do this to you. You ain't do that to Tupac when I was whooping on your ass. That's what's next. Niggas know that's how we do it. So I was telling our morality, how we live. So to me, it's not the Crip side, it's the Crip, the blood side, anybody who lives this street urban lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? I just looked at it. There's a mainstream perspective of the story, and then there's our perspective, the streets. So I stand by the fact that, you know, Pac, you know, saw this in heaven, was like, man, that nigga hard. You know what I'm saying? I believe that because this is his energy. This is Pac's energy, this Scarface energy when I made the song. I really believe in that.
Okay. For people out there that aren't really familiar with the music business or how deals work, can you speak a little bit about how a certain artist has to have things that come out of their budget that, you know, the label has to recoup later on? Can you speak about some of the things that maybe you've had to pay for or that have come out of your budget when creating an album?
Shit, you pay for everything. You know, it's all a loan, right? They loan you the money and then they hire the people off the money that they loan you. They loan you the money. So they loan you money to live, right? Which is your advance. That's your money to live. They loan you that money. Then they loan you a recording budget, right? Say, okay, we're going to loan you this, right? And that part, you have a huge say in it. You can go pick people you want to work with. Sometimes the A&R, you know, under the instruction of the product manager, will tell you certain people to help with marketing. You know what I mean? So they will tell you that. I mean, so you can have say in that part, but that's going to be the smartest. Now, when it comes to, that's going to be the greatest part you have a say in that part of the loan and how they're paying out. The marketing side is crazy. You really going to have minimal say in how they market your project. You know what I'm saying? So they're loaning you the money, and then they're hiring the people, and they're going to spend the money that they loan you on the people that they want to market the project. They have buildings full of people that this is their specialty. You know what I'm saying? So it's the things you could be charged for: first class flights, food. You know, if, like, when I was working the record for Certified, we would take different DJs out to lunch in different towns. And you know these motherfuckers not cheap, so they taking them to the biggest restaurants in the world. You know, you $2,000 bills for 10 DJs, 5 DJs, 4 DJs, steakhouses. I remember going to Bakersfield and taking DJs out to dinner. You know what I mean? Like to Tokyo steakhouses and playing music and having a network and socialize with them and get them involved. You know what I mean? Like, people, you have to get people behind you. And the label loan you money for this, right? And then you have to pay it back. You know what I mean? So the type of charges can be ridiculous. Like, you could tell a label, like, yeah, I don't want to stay in this hotel. I could stay in the Beverly Hilton. Yeah, you paying for it. They'll tear your ass up. Go on, open up the little mini bar. Yeah, they got you. Videos, all that shit get charged back. It's crazy.
Okay. What would you say is the most that you ever made per unit when you were signed to an independent versus an actual label? Obviously, this is going back a little bit now that streaming is involved. There's not a lot of physical units, but when there were physical units, what was the most you ever made as an independent artist, and then how much was the most you were made when you were signed to a label?
Label, my cut out of probably a CD was probably $1.60. But that was like, what's funny is Bob Lieberman, my attorney, was telling me this is one of the best deals he saw. And this is in 2007, 8. For me, it was crazy. Independently, shit, I make every dime. You know what I mean? If it's a million streams on Spotify, I get the whole, $3,000, $3,200, whatever it is. And I mean, it comes straight to me outside of the distribution. That might be like my deal with Empire or Command Shift might be 5% or 10%. So it was at 2,700. You know what I'm saying? Command Shift with Empire, it might be 2,850. So it all breaks down. But it's funny because I was asking Reg about that, and I was telling him that's one of the weirdest things. I think, Suge gets the worst rap. I was telling Reg this. Suge gets the worst rap I've ever seen of any executive. The money that he surely had to spend on keeping niggas out of trouble. You know what I mean? Like, think about all them niggas he kept out of trouble. Like Dog, he kept Dog out of trouble. Like, Dog could be in prison. Feel me? Like, that's why Dog sold so many records as well. Like, Dog was fighting a murder case when his album came out. You know what I'm saying? How much that cost? We talking about millions of dollars? Still be giving him, 100. I think Dog was saying he was getting $100,000, $150,000 a month with Death Row. Feel me? And the man that spent millions upon millions of dollars to get you out of jail, millions of dollars to make the record, millions of dollars in videos, millions of dollars in marketing, feel me? And millions of dollars to keep you out of jail. That's a corrupt. They was getting in trouble. I remember them telling me they was getting in trouble. Whatever he spent to keep them out of trouble, they was getting $75,000 to $150,000 a month. Think about it. Pac, he go get Pacs out of jail, sign for the money. That comes out of they cut. You know what I'm saying? Gets him out of jail, hit him with big bread when he come home, get him houses, cars, everything else, get him a stipend. Like, I was reading the hand contract that Pac had. That shit was crazy. A meal up top. You know what I mean? It was like 18 bumps on gold and platinum, so that's 20. 100 and some thousand was 125,000 a month. Not to mention the nigga just paid a couple $1 million to get you out of jail. This nigga face first in niggas 3, 4, 5 million. I don't know how a nigga could talk about that nigga. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I do respect when Snoop comes and he like, yo, you know what? Fuck all that. This nigga really, looked out for me. Even Daz, like, when I see Daz talk, I'll hear him say that. Like, Corrupt too. Pac too. I see why they was so loyal to this nigga. I see why you rumbling with niggas. This nigga really, and he was the only nigga that could go to Jimmy and get that kind of money out of Jimmy. Because soon as he was down, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm looking at Red's job. Reg didn't have that relationship with Jimmy. He had a relationship, but Suge really had to muscle niggas to get what's rightfully ours in this business. Think about it. If Snoop was getting $150 for, you talking about Doggy Style came out in 93, Pac shit came out in 96, 36 months, that's about $3-4 million. Not to mention it costs, $1 million or $2 million to do the record. You know what I mean? What it costs? $1 million to shoot the videos. What it cost to get him out of jail, fight his case? $2-3 million? What was his cut? 50 cents? If it was that much? What he sell? $5 million? That's $2.5 million? Man, this shit get tricky. That's why I always say, like, sometimes we squabble, like, and it's funny because even at that level, it's such a crazy mind state that we come from. Because if you look at what he did for them boys, I mean, like, he did shit for them no other label would ever do for us as where we come from. You know what I mean? He understood them and he did right by them and he tried his best. You know what I mean? It's still a young exec in the business. Suge, even though he was older than them, he still was young. You know what I'm saying? But I think he did great by Pac. I think he did fantastic by Snoop. I think he did fantastic by Dre. I think he did fantastic by Dog Pound. I think that nigga did really great by them. You know what I mean? Fantastic. Like, think about it. You talking about millions of dollars. He pressed them. They don't got to recoup it or nothing. Fuck what the numbers say. Fuck what the accountant saying. I'm gonna make sure these niggas is living. And them niggas is all 6-figure a month niggas. Outside of the album budgets, outside of the advances, outside of the travel, outside of the videos, outside of legal problems that cost millions. Think about it, Snoop and Tupac. Tupac was sentenced into prison. They got him out on an appeal and had him in the studio recording when none of them folks would come get him. None of them folks. The motherfucker got a double platinum album sitting in jail. They still not coming to get him. Nigga can't tell me nothing about that, man. Pop some shit, man. Suge is some shit, and I hate he gets the bad rap. I'm sure he did some things to get it, you know what I mean? Because he come from where we come from, but I definitely think like he did, like it's incredible what that thing was. It's incredible. For sure they was getting 6 figures a month. All them niggas. That's crazy. It ain't a nigga rapping right now getting 6 figures a month from the label.
Yeah. Okay. Being, in the streets and knowing what's going on in the area, what were your opinions and what did you hear as far as the theories that you believe when it comes to Tupac's murder and then of course to Biggie's murder? Because there's always these conspiracies out there, and some people think this person did it, some people think Suge did it. What were your thoughts and what are your beliefs on those two?
In Tupac's murder, it was like in real time we was keeping up with the situation. It wasn't even on the news, and we heard that Lane and them got jumped by the mob niggas. You feel me? That was in real time. Even when Tupac got killed, everybody knew exactly what happened. Like we was like, oh yeah, they caught up to him, and nobody cried on the block because we realized that that's what happens to us all. John, this is normal. You jump on the wrong nigga, man, bad news will, beat your ass home. You know what I'm saying? So that's normal. So when it happened, we heard about it. We heard the finishing things. You know what I mean? We heard about it. It was like, damn, that's fucked up, nigga. Damn. You know what I mean? And just like everybody else, we thought Pac was going to come out of it. Nobody, I think, realized how bad it was till he died. But even then, we kind of looked at it like, damn, nigga, got into it with the wrong nigga. That's normal. Yeah. Biggie shit was always a super mystery. The streets really didn't have no opinion on it. I don't think it ever was a street issue. So, it's like asking me who assassinated the president. I don't think, people from our community really tapped into what happened with Biggie. Like, I'm starting to hear more gossip about it now because of the internet and all of these people who kind of do like an investigative journalism, you know what I'm saying? And they starting to ask questions, and now you're starting to hear names and theories and shit. But that was never none of the theories in the streets. Nobody really tripped off that. That shit wasn't street business. What happened with Biggie wasn't street business, so you didn't hear about it. Pac shit, we heard about it in real time. Like from the time when Baby Lane was jumped to the time Pac got shot, we heard about it before it was on the news, to the time when everything happened, when the mobs in the South even started beefing. Like we heard about all of this in real time because that's all street business.
Okay. We usually do this thing when we do these interviews where we kind of do like a roll call where I'll name out a couple people and you just tell me if you have any stories or opinions on those people. Are you cool to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll start off with Baby. Any stories with Baby? Okay. No problem.
Ready.
Okay. So the first person we'll start off with is Baby. Do you have any memorable stories with him?
So Birdman is funny, right? So Birdman takes me to the MTV Awards. I had been to the BET Awards a few times, but he takes me to the MTV Awards. And, the MTV Awards is super prestigious, I guess. It's like, more motherfuckers showing up. The BET Awards is like being in the hood. Forgive me for saying that. Shout out to BET. I love y'all. But that shit like being in the hood. And I'm great there. I'm on the block. You feel me? It's Gucci. I work. MTV is like Tom Cruise is walking through this motherfucker. So it's different. You can just see the security is different. The mentality is different. The outfits is different. So we go, right? I think I'm wearing a Dickie suit too. That's the funny part. It's one of the only times I ever wore a Dickie suit to some like industry shit. And I'm with Birdman, right? We chopping it up. And I'm on him. I'm like, Feel me? Blah, blah, blah. So we laughing. He telling me some shit. I'm hearing this game. And I see Erykah Badu. Man, and when I tell you Erykah Badu was thick as fuck, you know, respect to Doc, DLC, and Andre, but man, Erykah Badu the thickest motherfucker in the world. This before the video came out where the ass was out and all that. You niggas didn't really know Erykah Badu was this thick. Motherfucker seeing her, she thick. I'm like, damn, this motherfucker thick. So I'm like, shit, I'm finna bust her. I'm finna get her. Feel me? Like, I'm me. Like, Doc had her, Andre had her. So I for sure could have her. Like, you know what I mean? This crip. So I'm telling Birdman, I'm like, man, look how thick Erykah Badu. He's like, yeah, she thick. She cold. I'm like, yeah, I'm finna go get her. So I start to get up. That nigga grabbed my shoulder. He like, hey, man, don't do that. I'm like, why not? You don't think I could have her, nigga? You sound crazy. I could get her. I got up. He was like, nah. He grabbed me again. He's like, man, she like a witch or something, man. Feel me? She on some shit. And I remember looking like, man, you tripping, nigga. I'm laughing. You crazy. I looked in his face, and it did not look like it was no joke. It looked like he was serious. Like, she had some powers. And I remember just calming down, like, you know what? Let me listen to this. You know, he's from New Orleans, Louisiana, so, you know, they know about all that shit. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to just go on and chill out. But yeah, that shit was funny. I'll never forget. That was like, he stopped me that day.
Okay. I know you talked a little bit about him earlier, but any stories or insights about Suge?
So when I put out Certified is like my first, you know, big record. Charted 57 on the charts. Huge record, man. Huge record. Shout out to Kanye West Good Life, because that's an important reason why Certified was a smash. And shout out to Akon too, but the BPMs match, right? So Certified's blowing up. And there's a line in the song where I scream, laughing at these rap niggas running from Suge, right? So I was starting to hear people saying Suge had heard it. And he was starting to ask certain homies. He asked my nigga Mikey Rue from the Mob that's locked up. Shout out to my nigga Mikey Rue, free Mike. But Mike is a nigga I really go back with. And Mike said he asked him, and Mike told him, like, yeah, Glass is a real little 7th Street Crip nigga. This nigga is really a little gangbanger. Like, this, you know, we from the same era. So I laughed when he told me, like, yeah, nigga, like, you know, people said Pop Suge was asking about it. So I'm laughing or whatever. So I'm at the Key Club. I'm opening up for Tip, for T.I. And I remember that was the first time I performed it. Excuse me, not the Key Club, the House of Blues. That was the first time I performed Certified at the House of Blues. So I remember just rocking, right? I'm rocking the whole crowd. Feel me? You could just tell they were so happy to have one of their own. I'm serving, and I get to that line, feel me? And I see Suge at the top. And I get right to the line. You know, laughing at you rap niggas running from Suge. And Suge put his hands up, and I just screamed it at him. I just dropped the mic, laughing at you rap niggas running from Suge. And that nigga put his hands up. And then, so I laughed and shit. We finished the show. We finished the whole set. And right behind stage, he came back there. He was like, what's up, Glasses? What's up, little G? Blah, blah. And, you know, the LA nigga in me sizes him up. We about the same size. You know what I'm saying? But it was an honor, you feel me? And he showed me so much love, you know what I mean, that day. And it's always been love. But I remember that too, because he thought in his mind it was for 2 seconds that I wasn't finna say this line. And I put that motherfucking mic down and yelled in my real grown man voice, nigga. The whole crowd, I didn't need no mic. Feel me? And I remember him looking like, this little nigga is wild. But yeah, I remember that with Suge. That was dope. That was one of the dope moments too.
Okay. What about Dre?
The reason I rap professionally is because of Dr. Dre. I met Dr. Dre New Year's Eve 2003, going into 2004. And my older brother Pooh was managing me, and he just asked me, his old lady and Dre's sister, Shamika, were best friends. So he was like, hey man, you want to meet Dr. Dre? And I'm super like hip hop ignorant, like rap ignorant. So I'm like, yeah, I'll meet Dr. Dre, you feel me? Whatever, like whatever, nigga, like it's cool, Dr. Dre. Like now I get it, I get why, but I didn't think nothing of it. So we go to this house. His mom's cooking on New Year's. They in Calabasas. Mom really could cook. Shout out to Dre mom. Dre mom cooked fire. Like she was making so that shit was fire. And so we up there eating. You know, I don't see Dre. We chilling. So I'm eating my food and the food good. And somebody walk over me, a shadow come over me and grab my shoulder like, yeah, is it good, nigga? I look up and it's Dre. I'm like, yeah, this shit fire, cuz. So I mean, food. He sat down, he gets some food, he come sit down. So we start chopping it up. And I mean, Dre is just the coolest nigga in the world. I love that nigga, man. Like, the things that happened for him couldn't happen to a cooler person. Really cool dude, really down to earth, really a regular brother to be as talented as he is. And I remember him being on the piano. You know, him, like, I could see he was just learning how to play the piano, which was crazy. He had to be just learning. And this is in 2003, 4. Like, so I think he's starting to play. You know, he over there looking like Burt Bacharach or somebody just playing. And I was like, so we chopping it up, and I'm so ignorant. I'm such a gang member, so ignorant at this point. I done fucked up my life. I'm like, yeah, Drake, man, I want a beat, man, so I can rap on it, you feel me? Blah, blah. He just looked at me, and my, street ignorance, I'm like, yeah, whatever, nigga, you make beats, I rap. Nigga, this how this go. Like, this Dr. Dre I'm talking to, his tracks probably at that time was about $2 million. I'm like, yeah, just give me one. I'm going to just do a rap. You know what I'm saying? Cuz I'm going to send it back. He just laughed like, you crazy. I'm like, no, nigga, I'm going to get off, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me get one. He was like, look, you bring me a record, feel me? You bring me a record, I give you a beat. I'm like, yeah, for sure, I got you. I'll bring you a record like a song. Yeah, I got you. He's like, all right, for sure. And so we just chopping up. Good old time. I didn't even get the nigga number. But I knew that us fucking with each other, like the connection was strong. I knew he felt my presence. And he ended up reaching back out to me on the 4th of July. You know, for the 4th of July, he was having a party at a Malibu pool house that he had rented. But he made sure to tell me he owned it now too. So he owns it now, but he was renting it back then. But he made sure now that I knew he owned it now. So let me make sure he owns it now. But he was renting it at that time. So I go to this pool party. It's crazy. It's old white ladies laying across the couches. It was just crazy. Just madness, you feel me, up in Malibu. And so I got my CD with my little 7 songs. I'm like, yeah, feel me? I'm finna give me a beat from Dr. Dre. I'm not even John Cuss trying to get a record deal. Just give me a beat, nigga. Let me rip. Nigga, show you what this shit do. And by the end of the party, he loaded. This when he with his old lady. He still was with his wife. He was like, man, my wife on me, man. He said, he's DJing the party too. You know what I mean? Like that was dope to watch Dre DJ. And he was nice. The nigga's like super nice. DJing. And he had this whole fire, like this barge pulling these fireworks. And he scored the fireworks to his music, to his beats. And when I think about it now, that shit is low-key was crazy. Like, that was kind of tough. But I was looking like, yeah, whatever, nigga. And it's how ignorant the streets had made me at this point. I didn't even think none of this shit was nothing. So he's like, yeah, so look, my wife, want me to come with her, but look, I could take your CD, feel me? I could get that Pooh later, you know what I mean? Or I could play it in front of the whole party. My brother Pooh was like, take it. I was like, nah, just play my shit right now in front of everybody. And so he started playing the songs. First song, he's skipping it about 5 seconds. Come on, skip it. Second song, skipping about 5 seconds. I'm like, what the fuck is this nigga doing? Why is he skipping my songs? Now I understand why. I get records. I study. I did my homework. Third record, he skip it. 5 seconds. I'm talking about these motherfuckers is playing like 4 or 5 bars of a beat. He like, yeah, nah, that's not it. He get to about the 4th song, which is the song I had called All Wrong. He let it play for about 30 seconds. It's like, this cool, but this ain't it. Skip it. I'm like, man, this nigga just hating or something. What the fuck? 5th song, feel me? He skip it. I'm like, damn, man. And in my mind, I'm like, in my mind, he like, damn, this nigga don't fuck with none of them, man. Fuck. I'm like, man, don't worry. I'm finna go make 10 more. Fuck that. Feel me? And he get to the 6th song. And it's a song I had on White Lightning called Dinero, Money. And he played it. It just came on. It was produced by St. Denson, the same person that Get High for Styles. I Get High song. And that motherfucker came on and money, get you some money. And he just played it. He just started rocking. He just jamming. He just started it over. He was like, nigga, this is it. And he grabbed me and he hugged me. Nigga, this is what it's supposed to sound like, nigga. Blah, blah, blah. And I remember just like, and I think that was the first day I felt hip hop's energy as a music. Because I could tell he was so Like it was refreshing for him to hear a young voice popping it. He was just pump. He played it about 5 times in a row. He's like, nigga, I got you for that beat. That ain't nothing. He said, I don't know what you doing. I think you doing something to throw your life away, but nigga, this is what you should be doing for a living. And that's how I decided I was gonna go balls in on rap. Just him telling me that, not him offering me no deal, but just him saying that he thought I was good enough to do this professionally. And that shit that's the number one most important moment of that's probably the second moment now. Second moment. The third moment is Jay-Z. The second moment is him telling me I should do this professionally. And that's my Dre story. Yeah, okay. That shit was crazy. The best moment of hip-hop is when Dre was cussing me out about Tupac Must Die.
Did he call you to cuss you out, or how did that work?
He brought me to the studio to cuss me out. And the nigga that helped me produce it, my boy Mitro, was right there. He's like, man, Glasses, how you gonna make a song saying fuck Tupac? I was like, nigga, I never make a song saying fuck Tupac. You sound crazy. Well, you got some shit out there. And he's talking to me. He's talking to me about my art, my record. And I'm just smiling so big in my mind, like, I got you. You know what I mean? Like, I made something so introspective and culturally revealing that it was devastating. And I was like, he was like, yeah, Glasses, that's fucked up. And he was genuinely upset. And I'm like, you ain't even watched the video. I don't need to watch it. Yes, you do. How you just gonna say what I made? Man, but why would you have to diss a nigga? I was like, why would you think I would diss Tupac? Like, you didn't knew me, nigga. Feel me? It been 15, 16, 17. Why would you? That don't even sound like me. I knew. That's what I was telling niggas. That don't sound like Glasses because it wasn't me. The hell you mean? I didn't diss Tupac. I made a song. And I started explaining to him. He was like, oh, that's slick. I was like, yeah. He was like, man, you don't think you should apologize? I was like, nigga, did you apologize to the police? He looked like it was egg on his face. He was like, this little motherfucker that lost his mind. But yeah, them my Dre stories.
Okay. Any memorable stories about Snoop?
Let me tell you, dog. So we got the New West movement booming. We flying off the shit. We rolling. Everything popping. Everybody getting deals. We starting to make our move. Niggas is mad. So I knew Snoop knew one of my older homies. My older homie named Pluck. He pretty much, is one of the most important reasons that I'm the gangster I am. Is he taught me how to survive in the streets on this man shit at another level. And he was friends with Snoop. Like his kid played, Pop Warner football. So he would always see Dog. You know what I mean? So he had a relationship with Dog. And it got to the point to where I didn't even want to talk to Snoop and them no more. I'm like, you know what? Fuck with them. It already broke my heart that all these niggas who music I supported my whole life was just, they wouldn't even give you advice. They wouldn't even acknowledge your presence, your existence. So, we started this movement to be on our own. Long story short, I never talked to Snoop. And by the time, it hurt my feelings initially because it's Snoop Dogg. I bought all 27 of your albums, nigga. And, nigga, whatever you came out with. But by the time they wanted to start talking to us, I was done. I'm like, man, I never talk to them niggas. I never talked to them niggas ever in life. I'm at a video shoot for Akon, Drama. It's Drama song with Akon and Drama, Snoop, and somebody else. And I'm in Hollywood. I had just had surgery on my legs, so I'm on crutches. I got a big gun, John, a real big one too, because I'm like, I'm not thinking nothing wrong, but this is just how my mind was at that time. And Snoop was at the video shoot. And I know he saw me. This is one of the few times I didn't even care if he saw me. I just crutched my way through the video shoot. Niggas see me. He like, gee, I didn't say nothing to cuz. Fuck y'all. I don't like y'all no more now. You know what I mean? Now I'm my own man. Y'all didn't want to help me, so fine. So we on crutches. I'm with one homie. My boy Mexican Mo. My boy Division Mo. Feel me? That's my boy. And I'm on crutches. So he starts sending niggas to talk to me. He wanted to talk to me. I'm not talking to this nigga. I don't care what he say. Fuck that, nigga. I don't care you Snoop Dogg no more. Now, nigga, I don't care. So I'm on crutches. So he sent one nigga. Man, G Snoop one time, man, I'm not talking to Dog. Fuck that. Send another nigga. Man, I'm not talking to Dog. Fuck that. I ain't talking to Dog. I don't fuck what nobody say. He sent the homie from Hat Gang, Twine, feel me? The Deacon. Man, G, man, dog want to talk to you, man. He want to politic with you. Nah, I'm not fucking with him. What you mean you not fucking with him? Nigga, I'm not fucking with him. Nigga, when I want to talk, niggas didn't want to talk, so I'm not talking to niggas now. Right? So I'm like, yeah, I don't give a fuck who he called. Jesus would come down this motherfucker. I'm not talking to Snoop. Nigga, I'm not talking to him ever. Nigga hurt my feelings. Nigga, I'm not talking to cuz. I'm disappointed in the legends. I'm not talking to him. This nigga gets my big homie on the phone. The nigga who raises me. So, and this is the power of dog, the wisdom and the prowess of him as a mental machine. He gets a nigga to get my OG homie on the phone. So now it stopped being dads, bodyguards, niggas that's in the industry. It started being real niggas who matter in my life. He's like, G, what you doing? I'm like, chilling. He like, where you at? I'm like, I'm in the hood. He like, you lying, you not in the hood. I said, man, I'm in the hood, cuz what's happening? He like, man, you at that video shoot. I'm like, yeah, so what, nigga? Like, what do you mean? I don't care about the video shoot. What the fuck that mean? I'm finna go to the hood. He like, hey, Snoop trying to talk to you? I look at my phone like, what the fuck is this? This is my homeboy. They're my OG homie, nigga, like, taught me everything I know, feel me? I'm like, yeah. He like, the nigga trying to talk to you. I'm like, yeah. He's like, why don't you go talk to him? I'm not fucking with cuz. I'm not fucking with him. He like, man, go talk to the nigga, man. Go hear him out. I said, nah, the nigga, I would have heard the nigga out 1,000 times. My OG homie started pressing me. Oh, man, G, I'm asking you to do something. You not doing it for me. I'm like, this nigga not for nothing. He like, man, go talk to the nigga. The nigga threatened to get me DP'd if I didn't talk to Snoop. And I just thought to myself, like, how this nigga got some power to where he gonna call a nigga from my hood and get me threatened on a DP? I'm listening to Pluck like, man, you sound crazy. He like, cuz I'm asking you to do something. Why gotta ask you 1,000 times? So I go in the trailer and I talk to Snoop and fuck the conversation, right? That's not even important. The fact that this motherfucker was able to get to my older homie to press me to talk to him. That shit crazy. I remember thinking to myself, like, this motherfucker here, man. And that's my Snoop story. That nigga, man, he's some shit, man. That nigga really like a Crip and Mickey Mouse. Like, he just this famous entity that's a Crip. And people, like, love him. Like, how you get my own homie to press me? That's crazy.
Okay. Do you have any stories about Reggie Wright Sr. or Jr. that are memorable?
Reggie Wright Sr. is the reason I got off on a car theft case. And I never stole a car again. I wonder if he remembers that. I stole a car and got caught in Atlantic Drive, barefoot. With my homeboy Dave in 13, we was fixing up in Seville and we stole the car and he needed somebody to drive it back to the city, back to Compton. And I got caught in Atlantic Drive and I thought I was gonna get in trouble. And because of Reggie Wright Sr., like, he said some stuff to me and I didn't get a case for it. I never stole the car after that. Never stole the car after that. Junior, I didn't know Reggie Wright Jr. when he was the monster he was in the streets, or like the kind of police, or even that death row shit. But now, you know why I fuck with Reggie, man? Because when I put out Tupac Must Die, a lot of people didn't even give it a chance. You know, they thought it was like some nigga just clout chasing for Tupac. He understood that I was trying to make art. He knew what it was he knew what it was. And then that's how he hooked me up with you to do the first interview. And that's why Reggie sit good with me. You know what I mean? Reggie and my older brother, they got, you know, my big brother, like, you know, it's my guy. You know what I mean? They can have drama, but it's a sincere place that I fuck with Reggie on. You know what I mean? Because he understands people like us, where we come from. He's somebody like us. He come from where we come from. Fuck his job. You know what I mean? He knows. So he was able to research what a nigga was about and could, you know, he could disseminate to other people like, yeah, G is not like, you know, he know that ain't my style. He know if I'm saying it, I mean it, and it's from a real place. But him hooking me up with you is like the most important thing. Outside of different game, like I'll ask him different things about the industry, and ideas on money, and he always been forthcoming. He always been honest. And I really appreciate that more than anything.
Do you have any memorable stories or accounts with Lil Wayne?
Yeah. So Tune, it's time to go shoot the Haters video. We flying to Atlanta to shoot it. LA had a war going on. We had just shot a video in Watts, and they didn't feel comfortable because they heard about the war that was going on between the Great Streets and East Coast. So they thought it would bleed over to their shit. So they didn't want to be in the middle of none of that shit. You know what I mean? So we shot our next video in Atlanta and then Miami because they didn't want to be in the middle of no bullshit. And you know, they knew I was kind of, everything I was doing was in Watts. So we shot the video in Atlanta in like this little kind of stage prop set place. And I was sick as a dog for some reason. I had like the flu or something, but I was fucked up. But I went anyway. Like, I'm like, I gotta work, you know, and me, crew of us went out there. I really didn't take no homies, no gang members. I just took people that worked. Head went, DJ Head went, I think. Pooh went, a couple homies went. Mo went. Mo was always with me, so he remember all this. But we out there, and I'm just sick. I'm on the set. I'm doing my part, and I'm sick. Like, you can see I'm sick, but I'm working still. And I remember Lil Wayne came to me and was like, hey, you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm just sick. Cause he's like, hey, you want me to have my mom make you some soup? She lived like 20 minutes from where I have her make you some soup and she'll bring it up here. And I looked at this Lil Wayne. Now, Lil Wayne is like, he's the biggest artist in the world at this point. Feel me? Now, we didn't talk, you know what I mean, on some music stuff and fuck with each other, but like, I knew he was serious. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna have my mom make you some soup. I'm like, nah, don't trip, you know what I mean? I know we gotta work. He's like, nah, for real, it ain't nothing, G. I have my mom make you some soup. And I just thought that was just the livest shit in the world, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, nah, don't trip. You know, I'm gonna go buy some. Pooh's like, nah, we got it. Good looking out, Tune. And he's like, yeah, let me know, nigga. Nigga, she'll look out. You know what I mean? She'll make that shit right now. I'm like, the number one rapper in the world was going to get his mom to make me some soup because I was sick. You know what I'm saying? Like that, to me, that speaks volume if you understand who Tune is, who Lil Wayne is. You know what I'm saying? It's like, he's a good motherfucker, man. So that was dope.
Okay. Can you speak on artists from the West Coast and who are kind of some of your favorites right now as far as rappers and producers? Like, who do you like to listen to on your downtime?
I really been bumping the LA Giants. Some guys I'm helping play Ham Son. Play Ham Sons. Penthouse Players Click if you up on it. LA Giants. They got a project called G Size and P Talk. I genuinely like it. Like, it's a lot of niggas I work with and I don't necessarily like music from them, or I might like one song, but this is probably my favorite project from somebody I've ever worked with. And I'm not even on it. But the LA Giants, G Size and P Talk, that project. Joe Moses is fire all the time. I still been listening to a ton of Sugar Free, new and old. Ton of new artists got different records. But that's pretty much it. I've been on this real weird binge of Sugar Free over and over again, and pretty much Death Row music. I don't know why. I mean, Death Row music is great. I get it, but it's weird to just be listening to the Chronic, Doggy Style, then go to Dog Food, then go to Machiavelli. Just kind of sitting there. I don't know why, but that, the LA Giants, and Blast too. A lot of Blast. I don't know if y'all up on Blast, but I've been listening to a lot of Blast too. He got some cuts. Yeah.
Um, can you talk about if living in the street life and kind of being in that world? Did you hear a lot about artists, whether they resided on the West Coast or whether they came out to visit the West Coast, ending up, because there was a time period like in the early 2000s, late 90s, where a lot of artists were getting robbed out here. Did you ever hear about artists getting robbed, and if so, like any stories from that?
Well, stories from it. So I was around when the Tiger 40 Glock situation happened, but it wasn't. So I don't know how it happened, but I was around when that happened. I don't remember the actual robbery. Um, Yugmouth got himself into some stuff. It was public. I was trying to help him resolve it. Most of the time, people just wasn't gonna do stuff like that while I was around different artists. It was sometimes certain homies wanted me to let them get. Certain people from the streets wanted me to let them get a rapper for sure. Like it was a couple different gangs. My niggas from Denver Lanes really wanted to rob some niggas. And I was like, nah, don't do that while I'm here. Yeah, G, fuck that, man. We'll give you, nah. Don't do that while I'm here. John, you know, it's crazy, man. I really don't have the same experience as a lot of the rappers have when it comes to the streets because I was already kind of disseminating the streets way before I was a rapper. So like my connection to him is a lot more fiercer and different than the average rapper. Like there's a real bond, you know what I'm saying? That's not to say somebody couldn't blow my fucking head off. It's just different. Like even when the Tupac Must Die video came out and like Trey is somebody I spoke to about it, outside of my niggas from the mob who all understood what I was doing, but Trey would be somebody who had a problem with it. You know, the conversation became like, niggas fuck with you in the hood. Like, you mean, you know, even if he felt betrayed more like because I fuck with a lot of they homeboys. And, you know, even though to me, I'm like, that's crazy. Like, that wasn't like no shot at your homies, nigga. That's crazy, nigga. This is just hip hop, nigga. This ain't, you know, no shot at the mob. Like, I helped pay for mob niggas' funeral, my nigga Zabo, different people. So, but I remember him talking about, you know, how I was always rooted and how I was always loved when I would be over there. So I don't really have those same experiences that rappers have like in other people's communities. Like I've been selling drugs and hustling and shit. I was doing that for so long that, you know what I mean, I had built my own relationships before I ever became a rapper.
Recently, Eric Holder, the guy who shot Nipsey, was convicted of murder. Do you have any thoughts on that? And did you have any interaction with Nipsey while he was around?
That's my nigga, man. Straight up through and through. That's really my guy. We put out our first CDs the same year, 2005. We swapped CDs and we was building ever since. Really one of the smarter people I knew when it came down to marketing. Just an all-around really good brother, you know what I mean? Really smart, really intelligent, and just cool, man. If you fuck with NH, man, he was just like the coolest nigga in town. You know, him and Dom Kennedy are the coolest niggas breathing air. You know what I mean? They mannerisms is cool. They just smooth dudes. You know what I'm saying? So him passing just, you know what I mean? It's whack. That shit's fucked up. And you know, really they shit with their own homies. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really they. You know, I don't quite know the depth of their business. You know what I'm saying? I don't really get into all of that, but you know, shit, that's how it go. You know what I mean? Like it's fucked up. It had to be my boy, you know what I'm saying, that passed away like that. But shit, I mean, I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. That shit is fucked up, and you know, if he guilty for it, you know, shit like they said, man, he in trouble. Hey, for sure. I don't think they'll let him see the light of day again for sure. So that's how it go.
Okay. Do you have any opinions or thoughts on the YouTuber Charleston White?
Disappointment. Just totally disappointed. I really believed in him, and like I really love what he stood for. I thought he stood for something, and I just was wrong. So it's really all the thoughts is just disappointment. You know, that's it.
Okay. What exactly did he do that made you change from believing in what he was doing to having that disappointment? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah. Something he specifically said to me in a conversation about how he sees what he's doing and the importance of what he's doing, what, you know, the relevance of it. We both differ on how important it is. And outside of that, it's just, I think the time he needs to make great points, he does, but I think he just goes through so much to try to just be, you know, something that never could end up good. You know what I mean? Like, he's such a smart, sharp person that I just thought he could represent so much more, but that's just not what he on, period. And sometimes it's like that. I mean, you can't make another nigga what you want him to be, even if that's what sometimes you thought he was going to be or that's what you assumed he was doing. So I'm just super disappointed in everything he's doing. I mean, when he's doing the right thing, I'm super happy and proud because, you know, our people need a lot of help. But for the most part, it's just disappointment, man. Like I'll just be disappointed. And he know it. That shit just broke my heart. Because that was somebody I really had high expectations for in our community to help. You know what I'm saying? But there's something going on within the black community where people feel like diving at the streets or poverty is the right thing. And it's not. It's just irresponsible. And it takes the blame off the correct people. So I don't like when nobody does it. I will argue with Charlemagne and Van Lathan. I do not like people talking bad about poor black people that's oppressed the worst. I don't like that mentality of, you know, Martin Luther King spoke on it, you know, telling the bootless man to pull himself up by his bootstraps. You know, we got to stop believing that everybody is us. And we got to stop this false sense of aspiration where, oh, if I do it, you can do it. Bitch, that's not how easy it is for everybody. I'm just tired of niggas with that. I'm tired of right now, everything is pointing down at poor black people. Niggas got something to say about drill music. Poor black people expressing how they actually live their life. Pointing down at it like you're supposed to help them. But again, if it don't make sense to you, that's like people talking about the life we live, John. You know what I'm saying? Like, it makes sense to us. Like, I don't think killings are senseless. I get why motherfuckers get killed. Feel me? Like, it's this silly narrative, oh, you know, you could resolve it just in conversations and blah, blah, blah. Man, listen, when them motherfuckers came and bombed the towers, right? 9/11, 2001, same day the blueprint came out. When they came and bombed the towers, America didn't call over to the Taliban and say, man, get, you know, Osama bin Laden on phone. We need to sit down and have a conference so no more blood has to be shed and blah, blah. No, you know what they did? They went on flybys, not drive-bys, flybys, bombing everything, fucking everything up. Because whatever they felt was worth their friends dying and their citizens dying was worth killing over. So how don't you understand it at this level? These ain't even poor motherfuckers. It ain't a bunch of poor motherfuckers in a primitive mind state who got, these motherfuckers got something. They legally fight and do drive-bys and bomb other countries legally. Feel me? To resolve their differences. How do you not know at some place that this is just human behavior or at this point, human nature? The first two motherfuckers was arguing on the planet Earth, if you believe in the Bible. They sons killed each other. One of them killed the other son. So I don't get this ignorance as a culture where we like, oh, we don't understand why niggas fight. You fucking lie. You do understand why motherfuckers fight. You just don't have to fight because you got something to look forward to. If they had something to look forward to, feel me, they wouldn't be fighting. If they had a career, if they could provide for their kids, if they could do that, they wouldn't be thinking so primitively. You think if Orlando Anderson, feel me, had a job that paid him $150,000 a year and it was all good, he would be worried about what this motherfucker thought or what he did? No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't care what nobody did because he could look up tomorrow and go to his life. He can go jump in his Benz. Feel me? When they steal your car, that's different because now niggas know somebody stole your car. Feel me? The average motherfucker got some money, they steal your car, you just call the insurance company, get another one. Where you come from, somebody steal your car, you got to worry about it because then they might think they can steal the other car. You got to do something, and that's the point. So I'm tired of this culture putting black people in better positions and then those people turning their back on this culture. Like you're supposed to help more motherfuckers. It's just a frustrating thing. And I think to some degree, I feel like he's another person in that, pointing down at poor black people. I would point up at poor rich people. Don't point up at rappers. Point up at other wealthy black. Point up at Oprah. Why is this bitch spending more money in Africa than she's spending in Chicago? Chicago made her rich. Why is Barack Obama helping these motherfuckers? Chicago made you an alderman. Motherfuckers made you. And there's some belief that when we make you able to free and go do whatever versus being entitled to do right by the poor people from this community. And I don't like that. It's not sitting right with me. I can't stand it. So when I think of cuz, it's just disappointment. I'm disappointed. My feelings genuinely my heart be broken about it. Like, damn, man, that's what you gonna do with this opportunity?
Um, do you have any opinions about Hassan Campbell? Any
He's
thoughts on
just
him?
a weird guy. He got a lot of hats too. You ever notice like how many hats he got? And they got a lot of hats. People who wear hats, that many hats, man, you gotta watch them. You know what I mean? They hiding something. And they got a lot of hats. Like a lot of hats. Like I be seeing his little videos and I might not watch them long, but he got a lot of hats. And see, you can't trust people that got a lot of hats, dog. Remember I told you that sound crazy, but watch everything that be weird happening, be a lot of niggas with a lot of hats. But some specifically that he did, he went on Math Hoffa show, and Math Hoffa is my favorite battle rapper. And Math Hoffa has a YouTube show that's pretty dope, on YouTube. And he said the reason Pop Smoke got killed is because he didn't check in. Like that's what happens in LA. And like I've noticed he's been painting LA in this very fucked up light, and I don't like that neither. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever happened with Pop Smoke, rest in peace, is way more detailed and there's way more something else involved that we just don't know about. It's probably most likely not as random as it seems. Like it wasn't about him checking in. Somebody was trying to rob him, but then the way it happened, that's not even normal. Something is missing. Somebody not running their mouth at this point. So I don't like how he constantly has these little negative things to say about the West Coast and try to paint it like it's a bunch of scandalous snakes and shit like that. I be really particular on niggas with what they say, especially about a complete culture of men. You feel me? Like I would never say that about niggas out that way. So I haven't like passed judgment, but I'm really, I'm peeping cause like tough to see what he really want to say. Cause eventually he gonna come out and say what he want to say. He just ain't said it yet. But again, like I say, you can never trust nigga that got a lot of hats. If a nigga got a lot of hats, feel me, he hiding something.
Okay. Any thoughts on Charlemagne?
That's my guy, man. He a little bit more mainstream than I want him to be. I think sometimes he's playing more the hero than the. I think Charlemagne is the anti-hero. I think he went from being a villain, and I want him to be the anti-hero. I don't want him to confuse himself as a hero, and I think that's what's starting to happen. But the problem is when you go from being a villain to the hero, feel me, it's a problem. It's gonna be real bad. It's better just to say the anti-hero or the villain. You know what I mean? Especially coming from our culture. But outside of that, he's a stand-up dude. He really somebody that look out for their partners. He not like a lot of niggas with that bullshit. He really don't care. He really share opportunity. So I have nothing but the utmost respect for him.
Okay. Um, Last one. Any thoughts on Whack 100?
That nigga's crazy. He got all y'all in a frenzy. I don't even subscribe to that shit. I just be watching the business. When everybody be looking at the front of it, I'll be watching the business. You know what I mean? What's the backdoor move? People staring at him working with that little rat. I'm trying to figure out how close is he gonna get to Lucian Grange. You know, the nigga that run Interscope and got Sway and Universal Music System. I'm looking at that. I'm not even worried about him working with the Rainbow Rat. How far is he gonna be able to pull this off to get to Lucian? So I don't think I judge him with the same eyes I judge everybody else. I look at all the plays he doing behind the scene. Everything he doing, I just look like, what's his play? I know it's a play back there. So I'll be just looking behind it. I'm not ever staring at the magic trick or the bullshit he be doing. I'm looking at how the trick work. I'm behind the curtains trying to see that.
Okay. Can you talk to me a little bit about the newest song you've done, the videos on YouTube right now? Kanye should have never married that bitch. Can you tell me about the concept, about the video, and the features that you have on the record?
Culturally, the West Coast has taught us you cannot turn a hoe into a housewife. Now, I don't know if that's true, but culturally, I was taught that. I don't know if any men from us in our culture have been successful at doing such a thing. but culturally you cannot turn a hoe into a housewife. And I just feel like sometimes like our Midwest brothers don't get the same information. You know what I mean? So I was just making sure I let Kanye know that that was not a successful move to try to turn her into a housewife. Now I'm sure he's grateful he has beautiful kids with this lady. You know what I mean? And I'm sure she has brought some value to him. But at this point, I do not like the fact that he looks the way he looks publicly. Like he is too important of a brother to look that way. You know what I mean? He like it's Kanye West. You mean to tell me you not gonna fuck with Kanye West for Lil Pete? Shout out to Pete because Pete is probably a solid, white boy, cool guy. But like, damn, like you gonna leave the nigga that made Yeezys for Pete? Feel me? And I don't like that because that could fuck with his mind state. You know what I mean? Yeah is a fragile monster. You know what I mean? He very much is a monster, but he's fragile. You know what I mean? And I don't want to wake up one day and he didn't, you know what I mean, then did something to himself because he, loved his lady and all this old crazy. Man, leave them whores alone, brother. Them is not for you. Them is for the people they for. Them for the people that didn't come up the way we came up. What other people think matter to us. So I made a dope video about it. The song ain't just about him. That's just the highest level of somebody trying to turn a hoe into a housewife. The song is just combating this culture of women that's, that feels like you gonna slut your way to the top. You gonna BBL your way to the top. Yeah, we not riding. You know what I mean? And if nobody else gonna speak real life into the sisters, that's our job. Sugar Free is on it. Nobody could tell him better than Sugar Free because Sugar Free has the greatest experience with hoes ever. As a rapper, nobody probably has more experience with hoes than Sugar Free. And the LA Giants, kind of my favorite artist that I'm listening to right now. They just came and really made it special. And the video just tells the same thing. It talks about a lady, one of the homies meeting a lady and, she's unsavory. And we trying to tell him, we at this Vegas, wedding chapel trying to tell him, like, do not marry this lady. And he does it anyway. Because that's what these niggas be doing. So, I think the video was great. My boy Azel from Yellow Tape Entertainment shot it. YT Entertainment. He's super dope. It's a really dope thing, man. I think it's fresh. I think people should really get a bar of it. It's dope.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about LA Giants, how you hooked up with them, and some of the future plans you have for them?
Deuce Mac is in Tupac Must Die. He plays Dre in Tupac Must Die. That character. And I knew him since I started rapping. They were rapping way before me. They grew up, like I said, their dad is Player Ham from Penthouse Players Clique, who pretty much showed Quick how to rap. What's crazy is I didn't realize he was signed to Suge. Penthouse Players Clique was signed to Suge and DOC at Fern. Like I've heard Mob James talk about Fern House, and he's one of the artists signed over there. But their dad is like this super unbelievably talented MC, like way ahead of his time. And so they were, since birth, Quick lived at their house. Battle Cat was at their house every day. Eazy-E, their dad was signed to Eazy-E. For me, so Eazy-E would come to their house. And this is the atmosphere they grew up. Like the exact opposite of me. I really grew up living the culture completely. Nothing to do with music. Just all of the songs, I lived the songs. Let Me Ride, I lived the song. Feel me? Against All Odds, I lived the song. I didn't rap the song. I didn't rap in high school. They actually were bred to be, culturists, to tell the stories of the culture probably since they were born. And I feel like I only have so much more time as being a rapper first, a hip hop artist first. Films is starting to call my name. I got people helping me. I was just talking to the camera guy about, telling more stories visually and creating more topics. So I'm definitely starting to scurry off like into more ways to tell stories. But I need to make sure I leave the West, better than I came into it, in better hands. You know what I'm saying? And those guys' hands are the type of hands I need to leave it into. You know what I mean? Those guys I know are going to take the culture serious. They're going to take the messaging serious. They're going to make sure LA doesn't die. You know what I mean? The culture of Los Angeles doesn't die. You know what I mean? And it'll always be represented articulately. It won't just be, purified culture, just niggas being niggas. It'll always be expressed in a way at bare minimum of, the bar that Cube set. It'll be, Cube and higher, whatever's available. So that they become a part of just me making sure I leave the West Coast better than when I came into it. And just helping them, I helped them get their own label, Giant Life ENT. Super dope. You know what I mean? I need y'all, please, y'all gotta get him on here. They got some crazy stories. They got stories about these niggas that's hilarious. But I feel like this is what I would like to leave the West with, when I step off to make films and to, I probably still make music, but when I'm not doing this full time, this is who I would like to leave to some degree at the highest level in charge. They are trained and built for it.
Okay. Anything else that you want to speak on before we wrap? Maybe tell people how they can get a hold of you as far as your socials, and then your YouTube stuff, things like that you want to promote.
Man, last time I did mine first, people found me and cussed me out, so I'm sure they'll find me and cuss me out again. I'm sure I said something, the motherfucker gonna be like, fuck Glasses, punk ass nigga. It be a nigga on there, 4'9", talking about he gonna slap me. And when I see you, it's people being how do y'all deal with that? People in the comments like, I'll do this to you. Like, boy, if you see me, you'll piss your pants. That's the dope shit about the internet though, right? It's like you could be anybody you want. You can talk shit to like a nigga that will choke your lights out, that will stomp your head into the ground. You could just be like, yeah, fuck you, punk. You can just talk. You don't have to be responsible for nothing you say. That's what make the internet cool. And I could appreciate that part because people really don't want to be themselves. They want to be somebody else bad.